Excel accounting practice problem. Set up Excel worksheet number 3. Get ready, because we're about to excel. Here we are in our Excel worksheet. In prior presentations, we put this together from a blank sheet. We're going to continue to construct from here. If you have access to this workbook, there's going to be 2 tabs on down below, an example tab and a practice tab. The example tab, in essence, being an answer key. Let's take a look at it now. On the left-hand side, we've been constructing the area where the journal entries are going to go, the debits and credits. Then we're going to post those to both the trial balance into the center area and the general ledger. The trial balance having these 3 columns, which is going to give us a look at the transactions quickly to see the impact on the accounts that are going to be affected. Then we're going to post it to the general ledger. That's where we're at this time. That's typically the most tedious part of the construction process here, the creation of the general ledger, and we will do that now. So we're going to go back to the practice tab and start to build out that general ledger. In essence, all we need to do with the GL, which stands for the general ledger, is to take these accounts and put them in order over here, and so that we can sort our information by date. We're not going to put a lot of other information, as you might see like in accounting software, where they might put like the transaction type, was it a check, was it a deposit, and so on and so forth, where the customer's involved. They try to add more stuff into a basic like kind of GL type of report, which is great, but we don't need to do that for like the basics of the GL. That's added information that you can do in a database system, which again is nice to be able to. That's kind of why you would have kind of a database system, that you can do those types of things and combine more data. But the essence of a general ledger is simply giving the supporting data over a certain time frame of the activity by date behind the accounts that are going to be impacted. So we're going to set up the general ledger. There's no activity yet, and we're going to try to give it some room for transactions that we're going to apply in the future. So first, I'm going to try to make this column J a little skinnier. We could try to uniform the skinny columns by going over to the E, for example, going to the Home tab, clipboard, and getting a paintbrushy and paintbrushy it so that it's kind of the same uniformed skinniness. You can also take it, and then these 2 columns, you could try to hold control down so that you have 2 non-adjacent areas, not next to each other ones, and then you can just adjust the width on one of them, and they'll both kind of adjust. And then we're going to say at this top space right here, I'm going to save this row up top, because I'm going to call this the general ledger, but I'm also going to have some check figures up top. So let's just, for now, I'm going to change this later. I'm just going to call this the general ledger, or the GL as it's often referred to. I'm going to make that black and white up top, so we know that that space is kind of reserved, and we'll then go to the font group, making that black and white for our normal headers. And then I'm going to say that I'm going to try to refer the general ledger accounts to the trial balance with a formula. So I'm going to say the first one is going to be equal to the name of the checking account. And then within there, we're going to have a date field. We're going to have an entry field, and then a balance. So the activity, so the date of each transaction, the entry of the transaction that's taking place, and then the ending balance. And so then I can try to format this. I'm going to try to make this our color coding. So this is an asset type of account. So I'm going to try to make this the asset. And I could do this. I could put my cursor here, maybe go to the Home tab, clipboard, and paintbrush it, and paintbrush that thing on down. So that looks good. Then I'd kind of like to have the checking account over this whole basis instead of on the left. I think that would look nice. So let's go up top. I could do that by going to the Home tab, and we could say I'm going to basically expand it in the alignment group this way, but I don't like that, because then it makes that one large cell instead of 3 cells, which can mess things up. So I don't typically do that. I'm going to undo. There's another way to do that. We can select those 3 cells, right click on it, and then we can go say I'm going to format those cells, formatting them, and go to the alignment. And then in this horizontal area, we got this choice of centering across the selection. And then we got that, and there it is. Much better, way better, in my personal opinion, my personal and professional opinion. Let's select these 2. Let's center this whole thing. Let's take these 3, and then Home tab, alignment, and center those 3 things. this date one, I want to have it a date field again. See, it didn't show me a date. So I can paintbrushy the date over here, that date field we used on that one. Paintbrush that one over here somewhere. Check it out, test it out. 1, 1. That looks like the proper formatting. So that looks good. And then the balance is going to be starting out at 0 on the beginning balance. So I could, they're all going to be zeros. I could just basically type in the zeros because they're not pulling any beginning balance that's going to be in place. Oftentimes they'll start off with a beginning balance. And sometimes if there was a beginning balance, you might pull the beginning balance basically from the beginning trial balance so that you could type the numbers in here and then basically make sure that they tie out, pulling them in over here. And then we'll have our date information. So I want to make sure I use the same formatting and put that down a bit. And so I'm going to take this down a few cells. Let's bring it down to like 12. Let's bring it down to like 12, which isn't too far down. And actually for the checking account, I'm going to bring that one all the way down to like 24 because we might have a lot of transactions in the checking account. And that's getting these uniform transactions could be a little bit tricky in terms of how long you want these accounts to be. Every other GL, I'm going to make half that size. So we'll have 2 GL accounts per section here. So let's see what that'll look like. So then I'm going to make this whole thing blue and bordered. Let's blue and border that. So I'm going to go to the font group, drop down, make that blue, which is in the more colors option, standard. It's that blue right there. That's the Excel is Fun Guy blue. And then font group and put the borders around it. So that's not, I just want normal borders this time, normal boards. So there we have that. And then we could make it a little bit skinnier maybe. Could make it a skinnier so we could save some space. So that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now we've got our format down. So now I'm gonna paintbrush this thing. I'm gonna take this. I'm just gonna take it down to 12 at this point, and I'm gonna try to copy just that. Well, actually, let's copy this whole thing first. I'm gonna take from J the skinny to M, and I'm gonna copy that whole thing. And then I'm going to put that up top right here, Control V. And so there we have it. So now we got the same starting format. I'm going to say this is just going to be equal to the accounts receivable, but then I'm not going to make it as long. So the beginning balance, I could say that equals that 0. Make sure it's the 0 in column G. And then I'm going to just make it shorter. So I'll make it go down to like 12 here. So everything after 12, I'm going to delete these. So I can right click and delete, and I'm going to shift the cells up because there's nothing underneath it. So I'm just going to shift them up, and that won't mess anything else up. So there we have that. And then I'm going to copy that. I'm going to copy that one on down. So I'm going to copy this whole thing here and put that right there. And so there we have the next one, and it lines up. It looks very nice, wonderful. This is full of wonder. It's full of wonder. Call it wonderful. And this is going to be equal then to the inventory beginning balance, which of course is 0 again. And then we could do that again. So now I'm going to copy this from the skinny. I'm going to copy it from the skinny to, give me the skinny. What's the skinny? To the Q. The skinny to the Q. Copy that and then paste it on down here. Now, once you get a little further out, we can hide stuff as we go. So I can just say, I'm going to take the skinny here and go on over to column Q because now I'm getting over to the right. And this is why I'm building it to the right so that I can have this hiding feature, allowing us to have everything on one sheet, which is kind of nice. The other way you could do it is have multiple sheets down below, but I'm going to try to construct it on one sheet that we can maneuver around, get everything kind of close together by hiding stuff. So I'm going to right click and hide this stuff. And there we have it. So what was I on now? I was on furniture and fixture. Furniture and fixture. That one. And then this one is just going to be from the beginning balance of the furniture and equipment, not fixture. Furniture and equipment. That doesn't sound even half as nice as furniture and fixture does. But whatever. I guess it's not important. And that was too long of a word. That's okay too. Might make that a little bit wider later. But there we have that. And then we can move on to the liabilities. Let's finish up the liabilities and the equity next time. So I'm going to put my cursor on I, scroll over to S, let go, right click on that selected area and unhide. And this is what we have thus far. So we will continue on with the liabilities and equity next time.